Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the September 17, 2025 meeting of the Town of Pownell Planning Board to session. We'll just get straight to it. The first order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from the August 2025 meeting. Did anybody have any comments, questions, concerns on that? I didn't have any corrections I needed to make. Okay. I move that we approve the meeting minutes as submitted. All in favor? Motion passes. The next thing I'd like to do is actually just kind of change the order of things. And I think we'll probably spend a little bit more time on the mobile home park application than I was originally thinking. So what I'd like to do, and I know it's a little unusual, is I'm going to flip-flop the agenda order and actually take care of the new business first so that we can just get that out of the way quickly, and then we can spend as much time as we would like on the mobile home park application. So regarding the Stephanie Woodman subdivision, is there somebody here that would like to speak to that? Come right up, introduce yourself.
Greg Carey from Carey Land Surveys, Waterville. I did the original subdivision for Stephanie way back when. And then after the Victories bought it and sold the lot out, I did a subdivision for them. And now they want to split out one more lot for their child. So it's pretty basic. I've been in touch with the code enforcement officer planner. They've been directing me and giving me good advice as to road location, private road, what we needed to do for the private road, because they don't have the frontage on the Layton Road. So I made the changes that were brought to my attention, and I have 4 large plans if you want me to distribute them that you can look at as we talk. Or
yeah, that would be great, because the one on the website's a little hard to read. Okay.
Great. Yes, you got I'll change it. Yeah.
now, basically what they're doing is there's a barn, the house and the barn on the lot that they're keeping. They're giving the rest of the road frontage to the, can't remember if he said his daughter or his son he was giving it to, but one of the children. So, and they don't have any intention of building anytime soon, but they want to have it prepared so that when they do have the money to build, they'll be able to, it'll be all ready for them to go. They wanted to split it out and deed it to them. And I explained to him that before you get into the deeding process, let's go ahead and get this taken care of with the planning board first. So if there's any questions, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's plenty of acreage out there. The only issue was the road frontage.
Is there an existing house on this lot?
Yes. And the well on that house is more towards the road. So any septic system that would be built would be well out of the 100 feet from their well.
What was the previous subdivision?
It was first one. This one.
Okay.
These were the 2.
So one was
right. I think Stephanie kept all of this.
Yeah.
And sold first. And then Victory bought it. And they sold this one next.
okay. And what's the
They've all been over 5 years in conveyance by quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. Saw that.
Yeah.
So what's the road frontage? Lot 2 is now getting its road frontage.
Road frontage right here, 62. What's that? 63. And this distance, that's this, there's a bend in the road, right? There's an angle, just this side of the pole, so this distance and this distance, but they're getting their frontage on private.
Right, okay, got it. Yeah. Makes sense.
Isn't the right of way 60 feet though for a private road? Instead of 40? It's from the conservation subdivision stuff we've been doing.
Right away is supposed to be
60,
60,
not 40.
The 40 is supposed to be the remainder of the property to make up your, so you don't, in order to have a flag lot, you have to have 40 feet.
Oh, 40 feet left. Okay, I misunderstood our conversation then. That's an easy fix. I mean, we'll bump the private road over to 60. I'll change the setback lines that are shown. Being in the sketch plan stage, this is easy enough. I mean, they're still gonna clearly have more than 40 feet left of actual road frontage.
But the setbacks are 25 from
Right.
each side, right? So that's 50 on 42. Does that work?
Pardon?
So you're gonna have 42 feet from the new edge of the right of way and the setbacks are 25 feet each from either side, which would be 50 feet. So you're
This is gonna
Overlap
be
it.
20 feet more here.
right.
Well, right now it's 63 and 29.
Yeah, so that'll
So
go,
there's 92 feet of road frontage here. That's outside of this. So it's gonna be 72 feet of road frontage now.
oh, okay, that's not 63.2, that's 6.
Yeah, 63.2 is here, but there's an angle point right here. And that's what this shows. This shows the bearing on this line. And
So
the
it's actually
distance,
29.9
yeah,
feet.
and
Okay,
then the 63, yeah.
got it. Okay,
Yep.
that makes
That
sense.
shift the road for the middle of this back.
So
Like shift the road this way, so you have setback here, setback here. Is that- okay. Yeah.
So, no,
Okay.
I'm not sure about the setback, on the smaller lot there. The site distance on there is, we need to push the road as far as we can get it.
to this side.
Or that.
Where,
Exactly.
right, the road, as long as the road's in the right of way, in the private road right of way, with the actual gravel and the shoulders that are required, it could be any place in that right of way, correct?
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
as far.
Yeah, well, yeah, the road, the actual, if you want me to show, in addition to showing just private road, show like proposed location of where the gravel should be. I can show that too. I mean, I'll draw a hash line in there and we'll push that over. That was one of the other questions that I talked to the planner and the code enforcement officer about. That if we made a note and a condition that it's, that private road can only service one house. So she could never split that in the future. Would we be able to go down to 16 feet of gravel, which will allow a fire truck and emergency vehicles in with 4-foot shoulders? I know it's been done in the past and that was my question. Because they're gonna have to build that up some. So it's gonna take some gravel to get it in there.
So I did look that up. About 2 different subdivisions with a plan of wood. One was the William E. Brown subdivision. And we had just stated that it would only service one house. Morgan Meyer subdivision.
And what I did is if you look in the corner into lot 5, I mean, there's note number 6, actually. I addressed it right for the back. Note 6, I addressed that concern to ensure that it's on the plan and it's very obvious that that's the intent and that's all they can do. So that note, in addition to showing where they should put the road based on site distance on the plan itself, I'm hoping that's gonna allow them to do that. But that, again, that's a condition that you guys would have to approve.
So, that would be a waiver?
That would be.
Yep, so, yeah.
I'll add that to the application that, under waivers and acceptances that we're asking for. I'll add that to the application.
Was there, Tim, was there any other concerns that you have with this, being more familiar with the project?
No, I mean, that was basically the only one is to, in order to get the site distance, there's, in front of the house, I think you see a dotted line. Up here, this is, you know, a lot steeper of a knoll than it looks, so in order to get the proper site distance, we have to push the road as far that way as we can.
Got it. Got it.
There's another knoll down this way too, but that's not as much of an issue.
Okay.
Far enough away.
Did anybody else have any other questions, concerns at all? Okay. So I would say, working with the CEO, come back next month perhaps.
Sure.
I say that we should be able to next month. And we could probably quickly get this done, I would imagine.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Tim. Do you think that we need to do a site visit on this project? Anyone have thoughts on that?
Seems pretty straightforward.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Has the resident in lot one?
we, in this stage, in the sketch stage, we don't notify the abutters until you guys send me to preliminary. And at that point, we send out letters to all the abutters, and all the abutters' addresses are in the application. So if you want me to send out registered letters, I'll do that. But I thought that was part of what the fee was, that the town sends them out.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
But what I think there's nothing really in the ordinance that indicates timing of things.
Okay.
And it's my opinion that the public should be notified sooner rather than later.
I agree.
Especially if we want to try and move this along quickly. Say, for example, you come back in the next time and you have all your ducks in a row,
Yep.
and we approve the application, and then we say, hey, let's just vote on approving or denying.
That's
We
fine.
don't have any time. We're trying to expedite things for you.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'll do then is I'll go ahead and send out registered
If-
letters.
If you want, we can, I'm not sure how, what goes in the letter, but typically you'd be giving us stamped envelopes, and then we would send
Oh,
out a
okay.
notification,
All right.
and I would like to do that as quickly as possible.
I'll have my office manager draw them up tomorrow then.
Anybody who's concerned could come to the next meeting, and we
Yeah.
could have a conversation.
Absolutely.
If there's no concern, we might be able to move through this.
Okay. That works for me. And when I say I'll have my office manager, I'll ask my wife to do it. Yes, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I totally get it. Going cold on to properties is not fun. I've had numerous guns drawn on me, so I know.
That being said, if you'd like to schedule a site visit, then schedule for 2 weeks, or you need notice for that. Can't remember exactly. Yeah, that's the paper.
I believe it's 2 weeks. Does anybody feel the need to do a site visit?
I don't feel strongly.
But if we want to let the neighbors know, and then, you know, even if it's Bill and I that are there.
Yeah.
At least it gives the neighbors a chance to be there.
Yeah. Right. And I think more importantly, if they have questions, they can bring, or concerns. they
The night of the
should be able
meeting.
to Bring that before us at the next.
Exactly right.
meeting Before we get too carried away.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
think That's the site visit tends to be just people walking around, where at the meeting, I think it's important where we can actually discuss concerns.
I totally agree.
So, Marcia's away. I think it would be a good idea to try and get those out as soon as possible.
All right.
I'll talk to Marcia. I don't know if that's something Becky do.
Do that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So as soon as you get those to us,
I'll get them to you before the end of the week.
perfect.
I'll get you the stamped address letters. That's what you're looking for, right? I'll get that. And then I'll also address the 40. I'll move that to 60. And the other one was, show the proposed road location pushed as far over towards the square lot as possible. Within the 60 feet.
I don't know the answer to this question, but I don't know if there's anything in the end ordinance that says the road can't be up to the property line of the abutter.
I've never seen a driveway ordinance, but as far as road ordinances, the state ordinance is the road itself can be anywhere within the right of way. That's the state ordinance. I mean, you guys can be more restrictive, but not less.
Something I'll look at.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and if it says 10 feet, then I'll put the shoulder right at the 10-foot mark. And then we'll have 4, 16, 4. And hopefully you guys will give me the waiver on not give it to me, I'm just the messenger, so. Right,
That's good.
well, thank you very much.
My son. All right. So I think, we will get back to the schedule now that we've got that wrapped up. Which is the Brady Mobile Home Park. Just like last meeting, at this stage, we're still trying to get a completed application. We have both comments from the CEO and from North Star that they feel that the application is complete. And they recommended that we vote on that tonight. I would like to start off with the CEOs and see if they had any comment about anything that they felt that was particularly outstanding or would warrant us considering this application incomplete at this point.
It's for you to review this, it's completely enough to review, and then every piece is there. It's whether the quality of that piece is acceptable. For example, if there's a lighting plan, you might say, the person might say, okay, I want everybody to leave their lights on. Mobile. That's my lighting plan. That's acceptable. That is something, but maybe you want light poles. in this case, that.
Right.
But it's like, there is something for every item.
Okay.
I mean, there are some clerical errors, and that could be easily fixed at some point. You can fix a lot of that, fix those slopes and everything.
I put together a list of things that actually Bill and I did it, that we saw that were either missing or inconsistent or, just needs attention. And, it may seem like a nitpicky list, but it's up to you guys to decide on what you want to ask for. So we just identified areas that were either, inconsistent, like I said, or questionable, and we'll leave it.
That, I would say that that's my thought on how I've reviewed the application so far, is that there are items, small items that are incomplete, but maybe don't necessarily mean that we can't consider the application complete and then review the deficiencies during the review process. My thought is that to try and at this stage, we have been considering this project for quite a while. My thought is to move forward, even though the application may not be as streamlined as perhaps we would like. And I'm happy to take anyone else's thoughts. I'm definitely open to opinions.
Yeah, I think at this stage, it's acceptable to say we have received a submission for every item, and at a later point in the process, we will actually review those items to see if we have any concern with them. But I'm good with saying, yes, we have received items for the checklist that we gave them.
John?
Just for transparency, did that be read? List from the CEO. That be read.
I can if you want, but I don't think it has anything to do with the submission that.
No, it doesn't, but just for transparency for the public.
I can read that. So the application, this is the CEO and planner comments, notes, and questions on Shane's Mobile Home Park. The application, number one, the name of the applicant is not consistent in documents throughout the application. Number two, what interest does the applicant have in any abutting properties is left blank. The acreage amount differs from place to place in submission, 1.38 versus 1.4. I believe that the past subdivision should be listed as the Mitchell subdivision. The property is listed in the 100-year floodplain, but it's not checked off, or it's checked no, that it is not in a 100-year floodplain. The abutting property owners has been left blank on the electronic submission. Some documents are upside down in the electronic submission. Method of sewage disposal is incomplete. Sewage from individual septic tanks will be pumped to a shared leach field. There will be a deeded right-of-way to offsite leach field. Project information. Number one, identified method of fire protection is listed as Chandler Brook. Does Chandler Brook have a dry hydrant? Which it doesn't. Number two, the type of performance guaranteed needs to be discussed. Because on the application it says not applicable, if I remember correctly. Project description. One, an engineered road construction plan is needed. Two, project description describes a drilled well. 3, project description describes private septic leach fields, but it is a shared leach field. 4, the waivers that have been granted were for previously presented plan. These waivers will still need to be reviewed. Authorized agreement letters, number 1, the authorization of agreement letters are not for SRB Properties Holding LLC. 2, should the authorization from Joyce and Jessica Brady also include the easement for the septic system from Mike Brady? Stormwater narrative, number 1, should go through peer review. 2, Chandler Brook is included on the state's 303D list of impaired waters, which identifies water bodies that do not meet water quality standards. Chandler Brook may require additional consideration and protective measures. Deeds, number 1, the deeds in the electronic submission are both Part A or B. 2, 1 deed is upside down. Septic system design, number 1, HHE 200 is in Shane's name and not SRB Properties Holding LLC. Groundwater supply, number 1, groundwater supply letter from Scott Dixon describes drilled wells to be used for a water source in his letter. 2, the well data map is missing 2 neighboring properties' wells. 3, the water test provided is taken from a well 800 to 900 feet away from the proposed project site. 4, should a water test be required to be from the project property? Nitrate attenuation, 1, should be reviewed in peer review. Park maintenance responsibilities and rules. Number 1, septic pump should be inspected yearly by an independent licensed evaluator. 2, the document describes a mobile home park in which the tenants own the mobile homes and the park owns the land and other infrastructures. Shane has described the project as being completely owned by him. 3, the rules do not clearly state that the parking will be on one side of the road only. Lease agreement and deed are upside down on the electronic submission. Paper plans, number 1, all plans presented should be in the original embossed copies. 2, the septic pump should be located so that it is in the lowest part, at least 1 foot above the floodplain. This should be noted on the plan. 3, the well should be described and located on the map. 4, all plans should go through peer review. All deeds and leases and agreements should go through legal review. So that's a bit of a list. And like Tim was saying, I think that among other questions that I'm sure the board has could probably be covered through the review process so that we could actually start reviewing this project for its merits.
Yeah, I agree. I think, some good points. Definitely the septic system, groundwater runoff, things like that probably should have peer review and definitely need to be clearly hashed out before this gets approved. But
So if there's no other thoughts on that, I might submit a motion.
They're obviously for public comment.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Come up, state your name. Where you live.
Good evening. Yeah, Doug Stewart, 252 Fickett Road here in Pownell. I'm a professional wetland scientist and site evaluator, lived in town here for 27 years and been practicing as an environmental consultant for the past 30. I would note I did go through the application and I believe it to be incomplete when it comes to jurisdictional wetlands with either the town of Pownell or the state of Maine. I have here a printout of NWI wetlands that shows that there are wetlands present on the property. These maps are downloaded and are based on landscape analysis, not field analysis, so they're sometimes known to be highly inaccurate. They do typically underestimate wetlands rather than overestimate wetlands. So in going through the application, I didn't see any indication that a wetland delineation had been done at the site to date. That's a question for the board. And if not, I recommend that you require one. So if I can pass this along?
Yeah, sure. We appreciate the comment. And thank you for that. I think that would fall, maybe not necessarily under, the completeness of the application. We're going strictly by the ordinances, what is complete, what needs to be submitted. But certainly, as we actually review the application, things like that will be coming up, I feel.
I would remind the board that there is shoreline zoning requirements in the state. And any shoreline zoning requirements would be associated with Chandler Grove specifically.
Okay. You have any thoughts on that? From an ordinance standpoint?
I have to look at the information you presented.
Yeah.
in the study.
Yeah.
As the plan was presented to us, there was no identified.
Yeah.
I think that would be something that would come up under peer review or under site walk.
Right. Okay. Which I think is a point where we really need to get this project moving to. And I don't want to misconstrue for anybody that approving the application does not indicate that we are approving the project whatsoever. Approving the application only allows us to dig more deeply into the details of the project, which we have not done as of yet. Reviewing the project is the important part, and that's where things like wetlands come in, the septic comes in, where the road is. So everybody needs to keep in mind that acceptance of the application is not approval of the project. So taking this step is not the board making a move towards getting this project done. It's only allowing us to be more thorough in a review, which we really haven't done anything as of yet. So that being said, I would like to make a motion to find the application for the Brady Mobile Home Park located at tax map 9 lot 6.01 complete in regard to the submission requirements in the Pownell Land Use Ordinance, section 604, 806, and 904, and to hold a public hearing at the planning board meeting on October 15th, 2025. Noting that there are deficiencies in the application that will need to be addressed upon review.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. So the motion passes. My thought was that at this stage of the game, we should really try to get moving on this project, actually. So number one, I think it's a good idea to vote on a site walk. I don't want to pile on for next meeting because I think it's, there's probably a lot to do. But knowing that we're all pretty busy and we have this time already, I'm just going to propose a time of maybe a 5 PM site walk. Then come back here for a 6 PM, and this is on the date of the next meeting, which would be October 15th. 6 PM, we do the public hearing, and then the planning board meeting would start at 7. That would just be my suggestion. If folks feel that might be too much, we could always do the site walk perhaps on a different Wednesday. Try and keep things same day.
It is squeezing in a lot.
It is.
However, I know. It's a small property. Do we have a sense of if there's anything else coming before the board on that night?
The Stetson project is considering it, but I am also considering postponing that until November with the idea that this is on our plate right now and the board really needs to, we really need to get this taken care of. Because once we accept the application, which we've done, we've got limited time to go through the approval process. So I'm okay with clearing the docket for the next meeting so that we can focus entirely on what we need to do.
This would be straightforward. We could.
This would be
This would
straightforward,
be straightforward.
right? So we could
Yeah.
put that in if they have everything in
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Just asked a question on that. The Stetson project is actually an ongoing project.
I understand.
I'm just wondering, I don't know the answer to this again. Careful on answering, asking these questions. Is there a legal issue if he puts in that request at the right time?
I think I don't know the answer to that, but it's a request. And we're not denying him a time to come before the board. It's just that his timing is such that we have other things before the board. And I would say the same thing would go if there were a lot of projects. I mean, there are, we've got to take into consideration our time and deadlines. So I don't know that, I feel like we can approve his request, but just not for the next meeting. John? For the Stetson project?
Give him the continuance 30 days.
Okay,
Basically table.
right, okay. Okay.
As long as he accepts that.
Do we have a formal request for us?
The request was made for a workshop.
Yeah. So, yeah, and so there's not, right, that's why I'm thinking where it's a workshop, it's not really a time constraint. He needs our time. We want to give him our full attention. And I don't think we could do that at the next meeting. I just don't think it's possible without going to 1 AM, which I am not going to do.
Just throwing it out there that I believe because it's a workshop, you could probably schedule it on.
Well, mean, he's calling it a workshop, but really is it like perhaps a sketch sort of plan-ish, like reviewing ideas with the board?
Want to take up all the time.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Basically, he's come up with a concept for lot density, and he's asking some questions that Bill and I really can't.
Okay.
So we are actually proposing that he get a workshop with you to see what you think of the questions that he's asking.
I don't know. I think my thought is workshops should be limited to, again, we're asking extra time of the board members. So, my thought about workshops would be that we're trying to review ordinances for the town, perhaps. And that this should come before a regular planning board meeting. That's my thoughts. If everybody feels differently and that we might want to workshop this, I'd be okay with setting up a workshop.
You could give them the option, basically say, you know, it's gonna be secondary to our current business. We're cutting the meeting at 9 o'clock, 3 hours. You can come if we get to it. We might have a few minutes, but we prefer to spend, at least an hour on it or more. So,
Yeah.
if we've got an hour left, we'll address it. If not, we'll punt to the next ones, okay?
Yep.
Or you can just wait.
Yeah, I think that would be
Give
fair.
an A, B option.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Because who knows, it might go quickly next time, so I think that's fair. Okay, and then we can always just put that on the agenda if he's okay with that for potentially next meeting. Okay. So, are we okay with doing the site walk, public hearing, and then the planning board meeting? Okay. I make a motion. Shane, are you available on October 15th? Do I have that date correct? '15th. Okay. So I make a motion. Give me 1 sec here. I make a motion, excuse me. I make a motion that the planning board of the town of Pownell hold a site walk at the property tax map 9 lot 6.01 on the date of October 15th at 5 p.m.
Second.
Don't fall asleep on me yet. All in favor? Sorry, I'll work on that. Next, I make a motion that the planning board of the town of Pownell hold a public hearing to discuss Shane's mobile home park application on October 15th at 6 p.m. All in favor? Okay. So Shane, just like we were talking about, we need to get letters out ASAP So if the town doesn't have your letters stamped envelopes, they need to get here by the end of the week. Do we have them? All right, perfect. Okay, so all things considered, to try and use our time wisely, I think I would like to go forward with starting the review process. And we'll just take baby steps for now and see where we end up getting to tonight. And I would like to start with there's a lot of complicated stuff here. And I would just like to start number one with the basic application. I don't know, Orion, can you just pull up the application for me? Just pull up the actual written application. Okay. And I think the CEO has already discussed a couple of items here. So under current, so this is on under property information, page 5. Under current zoning district of, and please, as I'm going through this application, these are the things that the CEO has already noted and that I've kind of picked out, but I want anybody to feel free at any time to jump in and say whatever you want. So under number 1, is any portion of the FEMA special flood hazard area, excuse me, is any portion of the property in the FEMA special flood hazard area 100-year floodplain? And it's marked no, but clearly we know that it's yes. Is that correct, Shane? Okay. Yes, yep. Oh, it's too bad he left. This is like the important part.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Correct on this one.
Oh, it is. So has this been submitted? Okay. This wasn't on the website, obviously. Okay. So if we get to number 6 now, as it was brought to our attention, the area may indeed be under, may include some wetlands. And I don't know if this is something that we need to, it would have been nice if he hung around for a minute, really. Yeah, for sure. Appears to be on the property. Yes, good, perfect. So would we need to, does anybody think that we need to do anything further with wetlands? Yeah, I think we have another, is there another copy of that? Oh, that's the only one. Yeah. Well, that's right. We don't take assumptions into account, unfortunately. Um, So I think it might be a good idea if we actually check that. I'm not too sure how we might handle that. Would that be a peer review item?
Be a peer.
Okay.
What about number 2? What's the distinction there? I'm looking at North Star's memo. It says property is located within a zone A flood hazard area. So 2 might be yes as well. So in the latest one, that's marked yes too.
Yeah, the latest one has,
One and two.
yes, this is part of the problem with this application, to be frank. So the new one has yes, no. The new one has number 1 as still marked no. But number 2 is marked yes. Get this out of the way. You can. So what concerns would we have? Because both those are considered yes. Um, he did kind of fall under the same, yeah. So
Same bucket.
Same concept.
so 1, 6,
So I do believe 1 and 2 should both be yes. They're basically the same.
they're basically the same. They should both be yes. So does that trigger anything where it's in, the hazards is a part of the land that's really just a consideration for where where they could build on the property,
Yes.
I would assume.
Yeah, it's, you'd have to stay any of the lowest point of a foundation or septic system, excuse me, or pump, anything like that, has to stay above at least 1 foot above.
Okay, right,
I would actually recommend more if you had the room.
okay. So we can review 1 and 2 on the plan when we get to that.
Have we confirmed with North Star that they will be in attendance on October 15th?
So under 8 as well, if yes, which it may be yes. Need to determine which shoreline district it is, but I think that could all fall under peer review. Number 10, indicate the nature of any restrictive covenants or easements in the existing deeds. It's left blank, where it should probably say none or list. any restrictive covenants. Shane, have you looked up the previous subdivision, the Mitchell, or the other one that was listed, the Gardner? And are we aware of any covenants or restrictions or easements on those properties?
I haven't looked it up personally. I know Mark here had mentioned about looking to find everything.
That you can come up to the mic too.
I haven't done any research on the Gardner subdivision or the Mitchell, but I remember in a previous meeting, Tim and Marcia mentioned about going in the archives and seeing if they could find something.
What I said I would do is I'd go down there and I'd find out which subdivision I thought it needed to be under. And like I said in my report, I believe it should probably be under the Mitchell subdivision. The Gardner subdivision was across the Allen Road. It was originally part of a Mitchell subdivision, but it was separated out because somebody else basically subdivided the other side of the road. So you're still underneath the Mitchell subdivision.
And that's not really Tim's job, so I'm gonna have you research that, and then we can talk about that the next
Okay.
time.
And I know that the land surveyor referenced the Gardner subdivision. So that's why I went off the Gardner and up the Mitchell. If you look at the site plan, it's in one of the memo blocks.
So we still need to know, did the surveyor mention any restrictions on that?
No,
You probably didn't look into it.
I know, when we had the title searches done on the land, it didn't pop up anything,
Any restrictions?
no restrictions or easements or.
So how do we go about knowing if there's any restrictions on these properties?
A title search, I think. Did you present title search? You said you just did one.
We did it back when we bought the property back in 2000.
So do we have a copy of that?
No, it wasn't the board, or this is the first that I'm hearing that you guys would like a
Well,
title.
now we're going through the application and now we need the information, and we've talked about this before.
Right,
So you knew it was gonna come up.
yep,
You left it blank. So we need that. We need to know what the status is on that property.
right. Yeah, there isn't any easements or anything. The only easement that would be added would be for the septic. But I can bring in the title search,
Right.
so.
It's also a good rule of thumb. I've heard if you're near power lines that, there could be potential easement stuff with that, and double check that CMP doesn't think that they can build out on your property at some point.
Yeah, I know that like the gas lines, you can't do any work within 100 feet of them.
So or would we be okay with just a title search when they purchase the property? This is not necessarily what I know.
It's probably a good starting point.
Okay.
In the end, though, isn't it the Brady responsibility if they had built, if they did title search and then someone comes forward later and says something, it's on Brady, unfortunately, but obviously we don't want to approve something that that then has to be altered later, but it is the responsibility of Brady to make sure that there's no legal issues with the land.
Might not be a good idea, Shane, to also pull out you feel it's the Mitchell.
I think the Mitchell was first, so I think it would all go back to the Mitchell subdivision. That would be my feeling.
Yep. Might not be a bad idea to grab that, any information from that as well.
This is,
Good evening. I'm Jamie Garland with Mainland Development Consultants.
Yes.
We've been helping Shane in the background, but we're here to help. I just wanted to offer up to you that when Wayne Wood did the survey, you'd have gone back through the deeds to bring up any easements, encumbrances to the property and put those on the plans in the form of a note. So I just offer up that, the title search as well as Wayne's assessment of the property survey, in my opinion, just should meet that requirement of have we done everything? And then as the gentleman pointed out, any errors or omissions are found are at the risk of Shane or the owner.
Right.
Just offer that up to you.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
Your path for this deed, as a deed, my understanding that you're wrong, that belongs to first other than half,
That's correct.
and is that deed, is the land being conveyed in any way by owner of property rights being transferred from one part to another?
It appears to be a lease arrangement.
I would definitely want clarification of that, and if there is any kind of conveyance from one party to another, town thinks, town attorney, we expect title search done at the time of the conveyance or lease.
So are you suggesting that we perform a title search now?
Town
Okay.
title search not owned by that require be very clear ownership and property rights there, because once again, there's gonna be another transfer, potential transfer from the EC or the owner to the subdivision. So you want to be very clear where the easements, conferences. So I think, from my perspective as an advocate of the board, that you want to ensure that title search is done, if there's a transfer of top.
So I guess what I'm unsure about and what my question is,
Disagree with the guard, title search, year 2000. Appropriate.
25 years after, yeah. So what you're suggesting is that the town itself would run a title search,
Absence of the title search done by that,
right?
the town will certainly investigate.
At-
Hold up the process. That's the interest of the applicant.
Right, and that's kind of what we've been trying to get to all along, right? And I think that kind of makes sense. to, you're talking about a fairly large project, I wouldn't be opposed to having the title search run. This is part of the reason why we're doing what we're doing right now, to give you time to get these details taken care of. And that's why we're going through this review process. Does anybody have a problem with having the applicant form a title search?
Applicant or representative think that this is onerous, that it was done 25 years ago. Is that conventionally acceptable, or is it normal to do a secondary one? And was the original one title search cover the area that also includes where the potential like leach field septic would be?
So just, again, I've done plenty of subdivision in the state of Maine. Part of the subdivision process is showing title right and interest of the property, so you can come and present the project. I do understand the gentleman where he's coming from in the future of this possible changes and having that clarified. But for the purpose of a subdivision, a site plan, and even the town's mobile home ordinance, for this application showing a land survey done by a licensed land surveyor who does the chain of deeds back as far as they can to the one that got cursive, written deeds. That's why you're paying for that land survey to do that, is to bring anything forward with you. If there's a concern after the fact, a condition of approval, I could see that, but at this point here, I have never been asked to do a title search on any subdivision I've done. And I've done them in rural towns and in the city. So it's not just a case of one area or the other. I can understand the want to clearly define everything out, have it as bold as we can, but that's where the surveyor goes and they do their research. I have surveyors in my office. Like I said, they go back through the deeds, running it back to make sure they can actually tie the lot out to what was originally conveyed. And then we capture any restrictions that were put on the property, any easements, and put them in a plan form that people can identify. And I know Wayne's a known surveyor in the state of Maine. I have no doubt he's doing the same thing.
Does the survey include the easement?
For the
For
new
the
septic,
septic?
it doesn't include that easement because it's a proposed one, because it's not an approved project yet. And then once it does get approved, I assume that the condition would be that that has to be brought to the registry of deeds with an approved site plan.
Yeah, we provide as part of this, I assume you want a draft easement for the proposed leach field that the town could review. But it can't become real until the project is approved. That'd be a condition of approval to have everything filed with the registry of deeds within 30 days. So that easement doesn't exist today. It's a proposed concept.
To me, if I was building a project, I would want to, have potential future easements that I would need before I, spent a bunch of money going through a process. But I do, from my understanding that this is Brady's risk to take. And if he spends a bunch of money and then it's discovered later that there's an issue with the property, then that is, his burden to carry. And if he wants to take that risk, I'm inclined to let him take that risk.
I agree with Mr. Brady here that that's something that can be part of a condition going forward. If it's approved, then like you said, 30 days, within 30 days, it has to happen or else it's null. That's one of the things you can put in there.
Okay.
I would just offer, there are times, yes, you do get the easements. I worked on the gas line project that came through here. You might hate me for that, I'm sorry. We secured easements in certain places we needed to go before we did the project. In this case, it's a low risk opportunity, or low risk easement issue. It's a higher risk, and that if we're talking peer reviews and going through things, the potential to change something and the rework over and over on that easement. So
Todd, question. Did Waynewood also check for easements on the, or covenants on the property where the septic system is going to be installed, leach field?
I'm not gonna speak for Wayne, but I gotta believe going, just the survey process, going through everything with what he's known, that he's checked those, but we'll confirm for you.
John, do you have any thoughts? Okay.
Maybe I should.
I'm inclined to agree with the idea that we let this go forward, but I just want to state that one of the reasons this is coming up is because the line is left blank and we have questions about the subdivision. So that context, in the context of all of these other either omissions or errors, or I was just trying to read an upside down deed, all of this makes that harder.
Right.
And it makes us question everything. So I think that's part of what's going into this, and I just want to acknowledge that.
I agree completely. If the application was clear, we wouldn't necessarily need to have to go through every single item line by line and pretty much question everything. So, I feel the sentiment is that, we can move forward. Can I write on this? Can I?
It's the towns, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's your copy now.
it's my copy.
You get a red pen or something, or do you?
Yeah, be awesome. Too much.
And did we clarify if you guys wanted it the Gardner subdivision or the Mitchell subdivision? Would it be the first one or the most recent one, would be my question, I guess.
My understanding is it always goes back to the first one.
Yeah, you'd probably need to list them all, I would think, right? Because there's a chain. It was Mitchell, then it's Gardner, then it's perhaps, but again, I'm unsure.
Gardner, 471.
No, it was like, I think it was 74 and 76. 74 and 78. So they were just after, because I got Mitchell owned the whole top of the hill and then he split off one side and then split off the other.
Split that off. So it's confused.
Where do we shake out on 10? We're saying there are no restrictive covenants or easements.
Say that again.
On number 10, we're saying there are no restrictive covenants or easements, or if there is anything, it will be on this site plan from the surveyor.
Right. So if you look at.
Yes. So on the submitted site plan, the submitted subdivision plan from the surveyor, he doesn't identify any easements or restrictions. I do fully agree. Either none, not existing, don't leave it blank. So we'll fix and address that.
Would they typically put on the survey plan that there are none, or you just are to assume that there are none if they don't?
Varies by surveyor. I'll be honest with you, I have two surveyors in my office. One would probably list no easements found. The other one, in the absence of not finding them, would leave nothing there. And that can go from surveyor to operation to operation.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not trying to toot his horn. Wayne is a very reputable surveyor in the state of Maine, has been for a long time. And so we can ask to get his chain of deeds, just so we can have that as review as well.
Okay.
That's where I got them.
Okay. And no easements.
Right. Yeah.
Helpful.
Normally he'd write like an easement
Yeah,
or something, or right away or a.
So moving on to page 7. Abutters are on the newest application. It's also been marked that it does keep with the town's, the newest version, that it does keep with the town's comprehensive plan, so we can chat about that.
Did they, when they put it on the website, did they update everything new or did they?
Took it right off your flash drive. Everything else went archive.
Okay. No, because that one wasn't checked the right way.
So do we have thoughts on that? Do we feel that the subdivision keeps with the comprehensive plan?
I mean, I think an argument can be made that there is lines in the comprehensive plan about affordable housing. You know, we've tried to, the idea of preserving rural characters, there's things we can address with that in relation to potentially visual screening. You know, there is state law saying that towns, you know, I believe, you know, have to have some zoning in their town that allows for mobile home parks. And so even if someone made the argument that a mobile home park was not completely aligned with the traditional character, I think state law would potentially supersede that. And so then the question would be how, you know, how can we allow mobile home parks in alignment with state law while still, you know, preserving rural character and addressing, you know, the local town ordinances.
So we could probably review that a little further as we get through screening.
Absolutely. I think Ryan's right. I think there was also tension in the plan between wanting the town to grow and keeping the rural character, but that tension was real even in the plan, and the plan calls for kind of thoughtful development that encourages a robust and healthy town, but preserves its character. So I think even when they go through the population trajectory of the town, they're realizing that tension. So it is something that Pownell is going to have to grapple with.
Yeah,
And this
sure.
is a wonderful example of that. Yep.
Identify method of water supply for the proposed subdivision. I think this is something that the CEO mentioned. Is each property going to have its own well, or is there going to be a central well?
There'll be one centralized well that's plumbed underneath one of the mobile homes. And then it'll tee off that and plumb to all the other mobile homes.
Okay.
Was that on the plan?
The well is, and then the water lines are.
Well, in the right location.
Yeah.
And well, I guess we can talk more about that. I'd be concerned about the draw of the well, but I believe you have some documents on that. Chat about that later.
Yeah, that's the proposed well, and then it goes up and one of those lines, the closest mobile home will have 2 water lines in it. Or it'll go off, feed the house, and then it'll come back and feed the rest of them.
Shane, you, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've stated in the past that you're considering a dug well. You've got drilled well in several places. Is it going to be a dug well or a drilled well?
Everything should have been updated to change to a drilled well. So that'll just be the well casing, and then the pressure tank, which will run everything, will be underneath one of the mobile homes.
Can I ask another question
Yeah.
related to that? If your well quality doesn't pass, you'll need a filter system according to the mobile home park board rules.
Yeah, either a filter system or try drilling a new well
So where would that be placed?
inside one of the mobile homes. Because most of them are relatively small, because it's only being 4 units, you could put it in a closet.
I've seen some pretty large ones.
Yeah, most of the large ones are like radon and stuff in the water.
Okay. So if there is radon in the water, you may have to provide, some type of a building to house that.
There is the potential of that, but with the water test that we got from a neighboring property, I don't think that'll be a concern.
Where was the water test?
From my house.
How far is that from the property?
The property lines touch each other, but it's probably 800 feet.
So I just remind everybody that, anything that's not on the plan, if Shane needs something or decides to put something on later, he would need to come back to the planning board and ask for that. So it might be better to put it on the plan and not use it than not have it at all.
Right. So I think what I'll do is, as we're going through the application, I'm gonna kind of mark thoughts that we will want to dig into more as we get in through the submissions. And so just kind of flag some items.
Well, I mean, maybe before we go off that, I mean, just looking at those results that he just had, I mean, it was a basic test. It didn't include uranium or water radon, which are extremely prevalent around here. And I know I've got both. And to your point, I've got a huge RO system, a big bubbler. I mean, it takes up a lot of space, and that's just for one house.
It's curious they wouldn't test for radon.
Well, it's a separate add-on.
Okay.
It wasn't included. So I would, maybe we include something for a separate, like, well house structure. Just because, man, they're individually owned units, so you can't necessarily mandate that someone has a water system for the other 4 units in their
I would agree.
building, right?
Yeah.
No, I think you just have to run separate power to it so that they're not paying for the power.
But you'd be taking up a pretty sizable footprint in an already small unit. Maybe just mandate that person puts this in their house for everybody else's benefit.
That's a fair question.
Pretty loud, actually. Mine's pretty loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, loud and big.
Yeah.
So I think we should maybe request that goes back out to look at a more comprehensive. Like, if you go down to the last page, Orion. Right, so uranium and water radon weren't done individually.
I know it's the test above food safety. So I know, like, if you have this passing water test, you can use it at a convenience store like Shortstop.
There are state regs around uranium and water radon that if you're above a certain threshold, it's not considered safe. So, and again, that's very common around here.
Or to shower.
Yeah, it's a gas chamber for a shower.
Exactly.
So we should probably have both of those items tested, is the suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, when you tested this, it's saying from the kitchen sink, does the house have a treatment system? That wasn't circled. Or is that straight from the
Yeah, that's just right out of the well. It doesn't even have one of those cartridge filters for sediment, or anything. And I'm not sure, I know Russell has his, had your well tested when the pipeline went through, right?
Yeah, when the pipeline went through, they tested my well, it was over the state level in salt. And it wasn't when I built, so salting of that hill has affected my well.
Did you know if they tested for uranium or any other?
Not on it.
Okay,
Pat, they have, they found uranium in his.
okay.
And you're also talking about something that's almost, you're taking water from a property that's almost 1,000 feet away. Russell's well might be,
100.
yeah, that might be a more appropriate site to take a test from.
How would that work? Because salting the hill, everything runs under your well. Would that
I don't
be
think we
like
know what
something that
happens
the,
underground.
Or you could dig your well and we could test it that way.
but I know the ordinance says, it says a neighboring property or test pit,
So we're asking questions
right?
about what the information that we need. And we're wondering, so you've submitted this.
Right.
Now the point is, we're now gonna talk about your submission. We're gonna try and figure out whether that's adequate for what we're looking for, that's all. So your choice was to submit from a well that's 1,000 feet away. We have other wells that are closer to the actual site of the well. That may be a more appropriate test sample to determine what the water quality is in that area. And I'm just throwing that out as a suggestion to the board.
Yeah,
Can I
Sure.
I would just offer out to start off with, is have Shane do the test for uranium and radion on the same water sample that we started with. And we will take into consideration looking at the location of any future filtration, understanding that it'd have to come back for subdivision amendment if it wasn't there. And I say it's a start because even the well itself, a well driller is gonna come out there and may want to shift left or right, depending on what they know where the water vein is. Or you drill where we say there is today, and that's not where the water is, and you gotta go reset and over. As long as we're outside that, it's 1,000 gallons, the 200-foot buffer, I think it is, for the septic field. You've got flexibility on where that well ultimately ends up. So I'd offer that up to the town.
and moving forward, I can't get a occupancy permit without a passing water test. So even if this whole thing does get completed and I can't get a passing water test, then it basically stops the whole project. Cause that'd be part of the building application, I think.
And do you have any comments so far on this part?
Shane is right that that is part of the occupancy permit requirement. I believe it's also part of the mobile home park state requirements.
So,
Yeah, cause you gotta test it once a year and then every 3 years they come do a physical inspection.
so I still think we should have, I mean, considering that you're planning on placing any remedy if there is a problem with the water in a mobile home, that we should probably do a more thorough well test at this point. I would also,
Would you guys,
seems,
would you guys want a well test or a well house on the property? Just like if we did the well house and there was something, they could all get shoved into that. Would that be
That would-
easier?
I think that would probably make more sense. Don't let me do all the talking, guys.
Well, I mean,
Start the test.
uh, I,
Yeah. But, and.
I
contingent
understand.
Plan for it.
I understand the idea of wanting to have all the information before anything moves forward, but as they've said, like, there's different stages where things will be tested and they're going to be drilling a well and they're going to be testing the well. And so I question whether we need to ask for, uh, you know, more data at this point in time, if that's not what's conventionally asked for in conventional construction projects. I do see it as a concern, but it is, like I said before, like there's at-risk things when people take on these projects. And personally, yeah, if I was building something, I would want to know a lot of this stuff ahead of time. But if Brady wants to do a project and then find out later that he cannot make the water work and he's invested a ton of money, that is on his liability of not being able to get an occupancy permit after not putting in, after putting in a lot of dollars into it. So I totally understand wanting to have more data, but I question if this isn't the typical process, or if or if the risk is on the developer, not on the town, and they choose to take on that risk, then I lean towards letting them take on the risk.
Well, I appreciate that, and I agree, there's some risk there, but we did ask for a water sample. And what are we trying to glean? Like, what would be the purpose of asking for that? It's for the adequacy of the water before they build the subdivision. So if we're gonna ask for it, should it not have all the data that we need to determine whether or not that's a suitable water supply for homes? And if we're going to make that determination, do we need more data is really the question. Not necessarily, like, we've already asked for it.
Yeah.
And so really the question is to me, is that good enough for us? Right now it's saying that the water's fine, but we do have some questions about whether or not it's really fine.
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
Well, the rules, if the rules are saying you don't have to get a water test from the actual site, you can get a water test from a nearby location. If that's what the rules say is the typical thing, it makes sense to me that we'd want to get it on site. But if that's what we have in our ordinances, that it's acceptable to get it somewhere else, then, I could see wanting to update the ordinance so that every project has better, water requirements. But if this is the existing rule, I don't know, then are they in compliance with what they've already given us?
I think the question is, if we're asking for a piece of information, what do we need to have in reality to act on that? And I'm not advocating one way or the other.
I think it should be more comprehensive. I mean, I think that's the simplest place to start because it impacts certain aspects of the plan. If you need to have a large well house, and that's going to trickle down into the rules, regs, and requirements of, if we want this septic pump tested every year, maybe we want the water system tested every year, right? Just things like that are going to have downstream impact. So it's better to have comprehensive information now.
And getting back to the yearly testing and everything, the state of Maine has a manufactured housing board. So it's basically like a board like this that oversees every mobile home park in the whole state. And then, so like if you lived in the park and you had a complaint, you could call them and then they would investigate it. And then if you get too many complaints, they pull your license. So you're not allowed to own a mobile home park license. So it's pretty locked up and pretty strict.
So not in line with the water quality test, but under 604 mobile home parks, under the 1 C, if groundwater contains contaminants in excess of the primary standards and the mobile home park is to be serviced by on-site groundwater supply, the applicant shall demonstrate how water quality will be improved or treated. So requiring, asking you, what you're gonna do, where you're gonna put your filter system and things like that, I think is in line.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think, putting a well house on the plan solves all the issues.
And I think, we should probably get a more thorough water test as well. And if, I think that's what,
I think that's our responsibility within the statute.
yeah,
To Tim's point.
yeah. So,
Do we have guidance on what that means for a more thorough water test? That if there's a neighbor who's acceptable, who's within 100 feet, who is okay with, having their water tested, and Brady does that, or does Brady need to drill a physical test well on the property in order to get better data?
I don't think we're making a comment on, I made a comment on the location that perhaps it would be better. But it only, the ordinance does say that it has to be a nearby well. And I don't think a distance is,
Go hide for a little while, I come in. Is it possible to pull back up the well data test that was done? And again, Shane's, I'll make him work with it, I promise. On discussing the well house piece of this. I think just as far as radon goes and the uranium, that's been the concern from the board. The clarity is what is a primary water test for the town? As far as, what a butter looks like based on the town's land use ordinance and spacing, that could be pretty decent space between lots. So just trying to tie into the town's ordinance again. We'll work with you. We'll come back with some additional information to help build a foundation for this. At the end of the day, nobody wants a subdivision done that can't serve its residents.
Can I ask you, Shane, you've dealt with the state with this before. At what point do they make you test the water?
So the only thing we've ever had to do was this basic water test. And it's once a year, you gotta submit it with your license renewal.
So in a new park, they would just, before you can have any tenants, they would make you test the water.
Yeah. And they also come down and do a full-blown site inspection. Make sure all the mobile homes are tied down and they're blocked correctly and the pads are the correct thickness and all that. And that the homes are set up correctly too.
So, back to the question. So, we're okay with using the same well, but, we're suggesting a test, a more
Thorough.
test.
And then do you guys want the exact placement of a proposed well house if it needs to have filtration? Or somewhere along the water line?
I think it would make sense to try and have that as close to the site where you would propose it as possible.
Okay.
I think would make sense. Understanding that things may change a little bit, depending on where the actual well might end up, but having an idea that we are gonna put a well house on the property. It's gonna be this big. I think that would, make sense. Moving on. Identify the method of fire protection for the proposed subdivision. Yeah, go ahead.
Would be interested. Transparent maintenance agreement, small water system, who's like liable, water comes down.
Right.
Oh. Who owns the well house? Who owns the filtration system?
That's all covered in the state mobile home park rules that they administer.
How the application, who owns,
Right.
they could have, they want, I don't want to know.
Right.
You want to detail that. Town's perspective.
I skipped one. Hop up for a sec to identify the method of sewage disposal to the proposed subdivision. And I think you had a note about that, Tim,
Yeah, I think
as
that
well.
was Bill's note.
Bill, sorry.
It's
When I refer
fine.
to,
Yep,
when I refer to
yep.
Tim, it means both Bill and Tim at all times.
Just individual subdivision.
And it is checked on the new one, so it's gonna have an individual septic tank. And then an offsite. Central offsite, you wrote on the new application, central offsite septic. By that you mean it's gonna have a central offsite
Leach field.
leach field.
So it's part of the septic system.
And that is, was there another comment on that?
With a charge line or a pressurized line or something, I think it said.
What are you looking for? Sorry.
I thought there was another, oh, just that the HHE 200 is in Shane's name and not SRB Properties Holding.
Right, it's just an example that there's different names throughout the application, and I thought it was brought up in a prior meeting that everything should be in one name, one or the other.
So who's actually, and I think that's a fair question, who's actually,
The SRB property holdings.
so that's the applicant.
Yeah. And that's an easy update on the H220 form.
And is that on this, that, no? Okay.
So is the electronic submission different than what you have there?
It is,
Okay.
yep. And we can discuss the actual leach field and all of that later in more detail. Identify the method of fire protection for the proposed subdivision. You have just listed Chandler Brook.
Right.
So how do you propose that that's gonna be your fire protection?
I assume that if there was a fire, that's a source of water.
That was flagged by someone. Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
does it have a dry
It
hydrant?
doesn't have a dry hydrant.
It doesn't have a dry hydrant, especially right now.
Used, I think a more accurate would be fire department. For the,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I thought it was like the closest source that you could get water from.
yeah, it wouldn't be, that source wouldn't be year round, and I don't even know.
There's
I don't know
a,
if
it's
Yeah, I don't know.
barely flowing right now.
The
Right,
fire chief would have to tell you how deep the water has to be in order for them to use their suction.
right.
Answer.
So we're moving on to page 8.
Well, I mean, I guess on that one, is that sufficient? I mean, based on the other check boxes, it's looking for a source of water.
Well, that, I mean, what I'm thinking is we'll need to talk to Chief Peters.
Okay, so that's just a question mark.
That's a question for Chief Peters, whether he feels that that's adequate or if they need to do. I don't know what we did with the project on Merrill Road, but I believe there was a tank on that project. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess buried cistern maybe?
Right, a buried cistern. So we'll need to talk with him.
I think that's probably the difference between what was a major subdivision and a minor subdivision.
Okay,
That's different in the ordinance.
okay.
Just for clarification, reported by the applicant, that there is a dry hydrant.
There isn't. Not sure where the closest dry hydrant would be. Jesse would know that, but.
I am keeping an eye on the time. I'm just gonna try and move along. I won't keep us too late. And we're almost done with this bit. Moving on to page 8. The flagged item would be the type of performance guarantee proposed. And it's checked as conditional agreement, but then it says it's not applicable.
I think I checked that wrong. It should have been on the other side of conditional agreement. Because I didn't realize that the boxes were before it.
Okay, so conditional agreement.
Yeah, because performance bonds on the left side and letter of, yeah.
Okay.
So a conditional agreement is requested, but that's something you want to talk about.
Right, yeah, whether we accept the conditional agreement.
Yeah, because I got a letter from the banker that I always use, and it's just one of those, I don't know what they call it.
I guess there's sufficiency of funds and there's execution, right? We're trying to protect against partially complete project.
Right.
Something else comes up, you want to chase another project and you leave this hanging for X number of years. And push it over there,
right.
right? I mean, that's what we're trying to protect against, which
And I think the town,
performance bond would actually give us something to cash back to the town to go and correct anything needed, right?
Right. And so you're asking us if we will accept your conditional agreement.
right. And I think after, was it a year, the permit's no good anyways? Or is it,
You would have to renew it after a year.
okay. Yeah, because it's a pretty small and easy project. I'd be surprised if it took more than 6 weeks. It's not some big elaborate development.
So the ordinance does allow the planning board different options on that. There's the line of credit, letter of credit, line of credit, and a performance bond. So it's something that you need to discuss what you're comfortable with, and I don't think that has to be tonight. I think that can be further on in the process.
Yeah, I agree. So I'd suggest to the board that we look into that. We do have a letter from the bank, but we'll need to decide if we're willing to accept that conditional agreement. Okay. I think we've gone through the application. And if we could, the other thing I'm thinking is because the plan has changed a number of times, can we pull up the plan?
The image or?
That plan? And so now this is the proposed plan. Is this correct?
Yeah.
And go ahead, Tim.
I just want to make sure, because there are other things that are inconsistent between the submission, the electronic submission and the paper submissions, make sure this is the correct one.
Do we have those here
Yeah, there's
now?
a bunch.
Can we pull those?
Here. And then there, get two more. You guys want all of them or just that one for now?
Just this one for now. I don't think we're gonna get too much more carried away at this point. It's almost 8 o'clock. So I want the board to have a good understanding of what the current plan is right now. And I think we've gone over enough of the items. We still haven't delved into the submissions yet. So my thought is, and I'm again, always open to suggestion. My thought is we'll review the plan since it's changed so much. And then we'll talk with the CEO before we wrap up this portion of the meeting and discuss any potential peer review items that we want to try and get done. So that we can get that information back in time.
Oh, sorry. Have them to look at right now. But that's the standard. So, the way you think. Thanks. Yeah, the major change is basically just where the road goes in. There's still 4 mobile homes on the same lot. And then there was other things added because of board.
And the position of the road was changed to eliminate the steepness.
Right.
Of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost a 0% grade going in.
Right.
And then there is one parking spot at the very corner, the first. Yeah.
And that's for guest parking.
Yeah.
Other than perhaps the well house, are you proposing any other buildings at all?
The only thing would be a shed if the tenant wanted it. But I'm not sure where they would go or if they want one or. I think that'd be a building.
You're not planning any other buildings?
Right. Yeah, just the optional, well house, like you said.
Now, where are the dumpsters located?
There are no dumpsters.
So there'll be trash pickup?
Yeah.
Provided by.
Or,
The town.
so you'll have 8 containers out here?
Does the trash pickup go down a private road or do they?
How do they do it on?
No. No.
Okay, yeah, then that would be, yeah, 8 containers lined up against the edge. Probably 4 on each side or something. I don't know.
I think you want to make sure. Trash collector would be willing to pick up at that site.
Oh, that's right.
In the winter, that's a lot of trash.
Thanks. People trying to get in and out.
Right.
So,
I also recommend that also might be a select board question on whether, because this is privately owned, whether 4 trash receptacles are gonna be given out there.
Yeah, that's a good question. With taxes. You have an agreement, I'm not quite sure.
so the trash pickup may not be a workable solution as perhaps. So maybe we should look into a better way of dealing with trash pickup.
Right, yeah, if it doesn't work out with the town, then I'd just buy everybody in a park a trash can and then just pick it up myself,
Okay,
so that we don't have to deal with the dumpsters.
okay.
Did the previous plan show a dumpster down the lower left-hand corner?
I did on the plan going in from the bottom of the hill.
So that would have to go trash pickup, that would be, then become
Park.
your responsibility.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna mark it that it is your responsibility until we determine otherwise.
Yep, yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want to deal with the dumpsters with having a fence around it, because they always just get full of junk and they look.
Yeah, that'll be, yeah, and that's your call, but I don't think having eight trash cans, that's
Right.
definitely not workable, just for lots of different reasons.
Right,
Um,
yeah, because they do it in Brunswick a couple times and it looks goofy.
yeah,
Like you go by their new developments and they're all lined up on the side of the road. And the town won't pick them up until the development's finished.
right. And just trying to get in and out of the road
Yeah.
and the truck and snowbanks.
Actually have sidewalks.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single sidewalk in town, is there?
No, with the grade. And the entrance may not be a grade, but
Down here, I believe there is.
I guess, but that's what I mean.
Yeah, what's the grade of the road where it comes in, right?
The
Yeah,
grade at the entrance.
like this, doing flat.
Oh, it's actually right on like the flat spot of the hill, and then the field is relatively flat going straight in. When you guys go to the sidewalk, it's probably about the best spot on the side of that.
Can you mark pins when we do the site walk,
Yeah.
where the road's gonna be and?
And when you guys do the site walk, what do you guys want flagged out?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna, that's part of the reason I had this pulled out. So I think it would be nice to have where the road is gonna be. I think it would be nice to have where you plan to put the well.
Okay,
I think it would be helpful to see where you're actually gonna be placing the foundations for the individual units.
Maybe the corners of each of these lots, just to get a sense of where they are.
Space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if I do the road, would you guys be okay with the back corners because they're relatively straight instead of trying to do There's like 30 stakes out there, I think it's gonna be more confusing.
Yeah, is that like here, here,
Yeah.
here, here? Yeah, I think that makes sense.
What if you did the center of the road?
I think it'd be easier to do the both edges and just spray paint the tops of them like orange or something. Cause if you do the center, then you gotta, well, it'd only be 10 feet either side of it, so that one.
Could you also mark where the easement is?
So the septic tank's already marked out, not the leach field's already marked out.
Already marked
Yeah.
out.
It's in the top part of the field.
And,
The easement is kind of just,
can we see that from this property? I mean, you don't own this,
right,
so we can't go trudging over
it's
there.
quite a ways, like you can see the general idea of where it is. I can,
How far? Well, 500 feet. So we'll be able to see
yeah,
where it is from your property
yeah.
without walking. Do you have is there an easement that goes from your property? Proposed easement?
There is this 10 feet wide and it goes, yeah. It's not staked out, it's kind of just allowed to be anywhere from the park to the,
Maybe if you put like a 5-foot wooden stake in the middle of where the leach field's gonna be and just spray painted orange, so if we're standing down here, we can kind of look up the hill and see roughly.
traffic cones.
Got it.
They'll stick out a lot.
Yeah. Or,
And how wide is the proposed easement?
10 feet.
Is that standard or an easement to a septic system or?
I had Wayne draw it up, so I assume so.
Okay. Just wondering if there's enough room to actually work on the line if something were to happen. Dig, you gotta dig it up to the dirt somewhere.
Yeah, so you'd have to back across the line and then just have the dump truck behind you and put everything into it. But I think it says in there somewhere to work and maintain the line, so that would,
In the easement itself, it says you have the right to maintain the line.
yeah. Or easements in there somewhere.
that's a good point, so you have 5 feet on either side of the line. And tracks on an excavator a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a 1.5 inch line, it's not anything massive.
Where's the pump house on here, actually?
There's no pump house.
Or just the pump itself? I mean, that's gonna be,
We're gonna add the pump house.
well, that was the well house, but what about the pump for septic system?
That's, it's on the site plan, I think. Oh, right there. So they goes down to it.
When
Go
it's
down.
kind of close to the floodplain, that's why I want to make sure it's marked on there that they need to stay above the floodplain and actually, if possible, move it further up the hill.
Yeah, so it's at the bottom corner, then it's gonna come all the way through the buffer and then 500 feet up here?
Yeah, cause you, it's got a gravity feed.
So go to the lowest spot.
So can you put a pin? A stake
Yeah.
where, the septic pump is proposed?
Yep.
Okay. Does, anybody else have anything to add of the plan as we're looking at it?
You say it's gonna be underground utilities. So you won't probably going from pole to pole, and then from there, everything will be underground, correct?
No. So it'll be pole to pole to pole until you get close to where the mobile homes are. And then it'll go down the pole on the ground to the slab.
Plan does say underground utilities, right?
Right.
Description.
Yeah, but it'll be underground from the last pole to the home.
Which looks like it's almost in the middle, like way in here is the last proposed pole.
There's a pole here, a pole there. And then they'll put the meters on and then run it.
So you're gonna have poles going into the park, but it's gonna feed each individual
Underground.
Right, yeah, because you're not allowed to attach a power line to a mobile home. They gotta have their standalone pole.
They will allow you to use slip joints on a mobile home? Or the line goes underground, and then you've got a slip joint, like many people do on the garages?
We'll have those, but we won't have, they don't allow them to be attached to the outside up high.
Yeah, you can't attach it to the building at all.
You come in with a hood and attach it to a mobile home.
Yeah, you can't put a mast or anything up.
Oh, we can talk about it later.
We mentioned, the comprehensive plan and character, and you did submit information about proposed planting plan, which we can discuss at another time, but I did have a thought that I think the planting plan was focused on deciduous and whether, in the wintertime, deciduous plantings would offer a suitable buffer. So we don't need to discuss that tonight, but as we review the plan, I may raise some concerns about the planting plan later.
Do, however, think that's a good thing you should be aware of it and discuss it, or at least look at the plan before you have the site walk so you can visualize.
Yeah.
And the current planting plan matches the trees that are already there. Because there is pine trees, but they're further off into the back portion of the lot. Most of all the trees next to the road are, I think they're oak and maples. Are they on the side of Elmwood Road? All the trees are like oak and maples, or are they?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
May I ask a quick question? Because I'm having trouble just knowing the topography there. Shane, when I'm looking at the grading plan and I'm seeing those steeper areas back into the two most eastern pads, can you tell me what I'd be looking at? Is that going to be rock? Is that going to be earth with grass? Like, as I'm looking at,
So
what will that look like? Can you kind of tell me how
my
that?
plan was to keep it grass so that it could be mowed. Because if
Okay,
you put rock there, you put a berm, then it just grows up with trees and nobody takes care of it.
okay. So that's like structurally, is that reinforced or it's like just level it off and then we're gonna have, I'm looking at the grading. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good,
Thank you. Can you just help me understand what this would look like in real life?
you want the, oh, there you go. He's just tall enough, he uses it as a whiteboard.
Back in this area, sloping down one slope, this property here, we're gonna build a little drainage swale, freshen in the ground, so the groundwater as it comes down across the slope will convey around the backside of that property down the pad there. This one here, we weren't so concerned with. Drainage is gonna come across, this turns into your relatively flat area. And then again, we're trying to get stormwater down to this proposed pond here.
So we can leave it, it's a 10-year storm, event on storage. And then this all gets sloping down, so you think about it. You know, you're coming down, slope in, you level out, then we come back down again. And then it just continues after the pond area to be natural, channel river. So it'd be tier basically. It's just roughly slopes, so there, it's gonna be grass back, slopes don't meet the requirements for ripraping. And again, the goal is to get as much stormwater as we can to this pond, so we can meet that stormwater requirement. And now it's starting to lead us to animals that kind of run through it now, so we're trying to convey that stormwater.
Yeah, if it's water gonna go on the upside of them too, if you open up the other map, that's them two there on the ice down. No, there's a stormwater map.
Okay.
Has everything placed on it, and then that's, we've got one drawn in there. This one goes.
Yes. The intent is everything in this area here, naturally flowing down through this way. This one here specifically though, is we're starting to catch that drop coming through, one to put that swale in.
So that dotted line is a swale.
No, this area right here is the swale. This dotted line is part of the calculation for figuring out the stormwater. It's the flow path of a drop of water on the site as it goes.
Yeah, so just to make it easy for me, everything on the high side of them two on the right is going around the back of it.
Yeah.
Everything. All the water
No problem.
up the hill.
Raindrop that lands in this area, so we have two watersheds in this dash line here is the delineation of the watershed of the property. So you have a small area of water coming through here that will convey down through. So if you think about, the reason I'm saying no to your question is it's not in theory, but it's a smaller portion of that stormwater is gonna come through this side of it.
Everything else is going around the other one.
Around and come down into the pond area.
It'll probably be a deep, does it show how deep that excavated up?
6
Up on top there, above them two trailers.
Really what we're trying to do is grab, you know, 2 feet, and we're trying to grab and slope it in, so they'll get cut in there, coming down, but we're trying just to keep that in there as tight as we can, and that's why you'll see we bring the grade right back around. We're trying to limit instead of just going and cutting the whole area.
Yeah, cause you know, them 70-foot trailers are blocking all of that hill.
The same thing for here, we're just trying to take this zigzag out of it with a jiffy side of the land and kind of bring it back around.
Thank you. It's helpful for us. Well.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you bringing that up. Orion, thank you for the graphics over there. So the next thing I would just like to try and cover fairly quickly is items that we would like to flag for peer review. Tim, is there anything that you're seeing? I think the wetlands we've talked about might be a good idea. Do you have any concerns about septic, grading? Bill?
I think one of the key ones is going to be the road safety assessment.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, I think that anything that's done by, you know, professional or even not professional that you really don't understand, I think would be a good thing to send to somebody, a professional that, you know, a different, no offense, but a different set of eyes. That, you know, it could look at it for you. So, you know, the stormwater is an example.
Yeah. I think that might not be a bad idea because Chandler Brook is right there. So I think number one, probably having wetlands reviewed might be a good idea. Two, considering the brook, I think storm water might be a good spot for peer review.
Can I also add something to the stormwater? After everything's all built, it's gonna improve the water flow going into Chandler Brook. So it won't worsen it, it'll make it better than what's already existing.
Right, right. Yeah, and I saw that as well. What we're looking for is to make sure that that's
Yep.
just like a second opinion. on
Okay.
that. And
That's a question for Tim. Like, each one of those lots is about 12,000 square feet, and I should know this too, but I don't yet. Each one of those lots is about 12,000 square feet, yet a percentage of that is drainage swale, or the fairly steep drain. Is that, like, for a lot of lots, we consider, for example, we have to have 90,000 square feet of buildable land
Right.
for a regular lot. Do we have to have 12,000 square feet of buildable for a mobile home lot?
That's a really good question.
So the unbuildable part would be, through our ordinance, it would be wetlands or slopes greater than 20%. So I don't know looking at the one up there, I guess the closest one to the road on the downhill side of that one would be the only one I would question if that would be more than 20%, but I kind of doubt it.
Oh, because if it's 20%, it's in the wrap.
We'll provide a statement on those, just to give you a drawing of the slopes, to check that box, but I was gonna read the same thing. But the thought that was brought up was in the subdivision ordinance. Your net residential calculation area, taking out wetlands, taking out steep slopes, and then waiting bird habitats and things of such. Right of ways, man, left with X at the ends. Let's give you some documentation, help you check that box.
Okay, we'd appreciate that. Did anybody have any other, and just because we don't discuss it tonight, doesn't mean that we still can't ask for peer review as we go through the rest of the documents. But I just wanted to try and get as much, try to get ahead of as much as we possibly could. So if anybody had any other thoughts about items that we might want to get peer review on.
In your water.
I did.
75 feet here, which is the thing, but I think when we're looking at kind of where the proposed outflow is, I think those things are all just very close, so.
Yeah.
I think your review on that, especially after the comments made tonight.
Yeah.
So the other things that I'm just reading through, trying to point out, what was done by professional, the groundwater supply. That was, something you can look at. Not necessarily saying you should have it, just something you can ask for if you want to.
That's a good point because I looked at that, and when they did the survey of it, they took an average, which is maybe not the best way to determine that because there were some huge numbers at a couple different properties like this one. You can see, I think if I remember correctly, there's a few that are 30 and 40, and then there's quite a few that are 6 and 8. And when you average all that up, that average, of course, is going to be much higher But if you take, and I'm probably gonna swap these out, but if you take the mean, which is just the number that's in the middle of all of these data points, it ends up being something like 8 as a flow rate.
I'm not gonna hit argue for or against peer review. I just provide that. It's not as easy as saying the numbers on the board, how they work out. You're looking at the veins of water, you're looking at the geological formations of the earth, and that's where you.
I understand, but the geologist that did the water literally just took the average.
It's an accepted standard we've used in many towns.
But what I'm saying is that the average isn't really whether that's the standard, it's not statistically, it may not be the most accurate indication of, you can't take an average if you have $1 and I have 100 and we average how much we each have, it's 50.
Yeah.
It's not even close to telling us what the.
And again, I'm not trying to dive into Scott's realm. I'm not a geologist.
Yeah.
I just wanted to offer up that.
Right, I understand that, but I am questioning when you have such a huge
I know,
change in values.
we just had a couple wells drilled in Grand and Gloucester. And if they don't get the state minimum for water, they drill deeper, so you get a reservoir. And I think it's a half a gallon a minute at 400 feet will service a 3-bedroom house. So anything over a gallon a minute should supply the park.
How deep do you think you're gonna drill, or can you drill?
You can, I guess, drill as deep as the drill will go. Actually, I can pull it up right here. But the well driller that we use, A to Z, they drill down up to 420 feet.
Yeah.
And then they charge you for every foot after that.
But yeah, the depth doesn't necessarily always equal GPM. You have at 30 GPM with a 300-foot well, and then you have a 355-foot well with a 4 GPM. So it's not always a correlation.
So maybe we can, that's something for us to consider. And that would be for next time. I think we really need to dive into the documents that we have. And if there's
Yeah, right here.
any questions about that, we'll want to get that peer review done.
Were you saying that you only needed a 1 GPM to supply everybody, or how many were you?
Oh, I was off on that. So the state recommended flow rate is a half a gallon a minute at 420 feet. So that would, yeah,
So you need to multiply that by 4.
right. So anything over 2 gallons a minute would supply the park. And given the numbers, I think it's relatively easy to achieve that.
Yep. Okay. So I'm unsure of, Tim, I'm unsure of how to go about getting these peer review items taken care of. Is that something I can put in the lap of the CEO?
Yep. And I put in Ben's lap.
Awesome. It's a good lap to be in. And so with the wetlands and the shoreland, we're concerned about where the actual location of the wetlands are. And
So do you want the whole survey under peer review? Because the surveyor is the one that usually picks up the wetlands, correct? So you could have the whole survey and then ask for all the wetlands to be picked up as well.
okay.
We want to hear, we had public comment saying they had concerns, so we'd want to look at what their written concerns are specifically and how they might be addressed in some type of review.
Right, so, I think what we're trying to gather is, are the wetlands a concern for this proposed property? And the property's relation to this shoreline ordinance?
Well, is Chandler Brook a concern, given that it's on the state's 303D list of a wall? There's exactly details behind that, I don't know.
Right, could all that be folded in? Do I need to make a motion for something like this?
I think that would be in order.
So you're gonna make me put that into words? Okay. Let me think about this for a sec. And if anybody has a suggestion for a motion, maybe while I'm putting this together, does anybody have any public comment that they'd like to make?
Just briefly, and I mentioned this before, Shane, it just, I don't know, it's just because I know my driveway and your proposed one are right across from each other. He still ain't drawing it that way. And that pole 704 is actually downgrade of where that pin is. And it's, so I don't know why he doesn't have this side of the road. No. I assume that the footage and everything is correct around there. But in saying that, shouldn't we be getting a description of the perimeter of this property on a deed? I haven't seen one.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna have you address the board directly as a public comment.
Okay.
Not necessarily Shane.
I'm thinking we ought to have a description of the perimeter of this lot. I mean, it's all written here, but I'd like to see it on a formal deed. I haven't seen anything in the paperwork. I guess that's why I'm asking. And then if on the on-site, it's gonna be real important to me, and I would think you too, that, you know, you mentioned some where the trailers are, the 4 property pins, and then the center of the road, however you guys wanted that, but that would be very helpful. Site visit for everybody, including me. So, and I just would like to look at a plan that shows his proposed driveway. It comes right out across from my driveway, which that's the way it's gonna be, but at least it can get drawn right. And I just don't know why this CMP pole keeps getting put up here, because this pin is way up here in the field, because I know it, you know. I don't know why Wayne doesn't, get it drawn right. As far as this side, I don't know, I guess it's drawn right. So, yes, that's all, thank you.
For safety, which you'll see this, I'm sorry, I'm Terry Allen, 939 Elmwood. On this safety, it says school bus stops located in a safe area. 35 years ago, when my kids started school, they picked them up for the first week at our house, and then that wasn't gonna work. So they made us take them to the top of the hill and get picked up there. And this is the exact same location as you're gonna have families coming out to be picked up. And I don't think, you know, I'm sure the bus drivers can't say no, but we did it for the safety of our kids and said, yes, we will take them to the top of the hill. So just as a safety precaution.
So we could ask the Director of Transportation for the RSU on his thoughts on on that location.
Makes sense.
And you know, there's some children who are walking. Two steep slope of this town.
Todd, I don't know if this is a peer review or not, but we've got 11 pages of Elmwood Park rules, but we have 4 bullets of owner responsibilities. We should consider reviewing that to become a declaration of park owner responsibilities that can be filed with the deed for this park. Legal discussion.
Yeah,
That way the responsibilities are tied to the park.
right.
It's more legal review, I think.
Yeah,
The town attorney.
right. I think that's good.
Yeah.
But that's important.
Yep.
We should make a note of that.
So the other thing that I see that was done, like, an expert field would be the nitrate study, and that matters to you. It is a ways away, and the nitrate study really didn't show that any harm property the one that's there.
Mhm. Do you think that's a potential problem?
I don't. I don't think it's a potential problem, being the distance that it is away from other properties and the river.
Okay. I'm gonna put that down as something to think about next meeting.
With the DPM, we were just discussing, if really it is, they only need 2 to 4 gallons to make it work, you know, almost all of them are above. that
Yeah.
level, so.
Right. So then it's a moot point. Okay, that's very good. Okay. So I make the motion that the planning board require an independent peer review of the applicant's wetland delineation report, with the cost being borne by the applicant in accordance with the provisions of the Pownell Land Use Ordinance.
Second.
All in favor? And as far as the shoreland ordinance, I guess the question is whether or not this item, this property falls within the shoreland zoning district.
I think that's something that, you know, peer review is gonna have to look at. It's been challenged here earlier tonight. I think that would be someplace that you really want, is worth looking into, and the way it's drawn right now, it is not in shoreline.
I'll just offer though, we have testimony that this pole might be in the wrong place.
Yes.
So I think that these are really close.
Yeah.
To this line. I think this is, especially with what was said earlier tonight, we want to make darn sure that
Exactly.
that this is right. And this, you know, stormwater and all of this is going to do, as the other consultants say. I believe this boundary is drawn closer than this pole. Yeah, not a lot of wiggle room.
So that being said, are you asking for peer review?
I would advocate for peer review of this, because we just heard this might be wrong. I think if we have someone who commented tonight and is an expert in the field and saying that these things are actually overlaid, we need to make sure that there's no problem. Or in flow of water.
Right.
Well, could that be done as part of the stormwater review? I don't know, I'm not asking, whoever is expert at this, like in the stormwater / shoreland review or something?
What I'm thinking, is that we can move to have these things peer reviewed, and we'll put this in Ben's lap, and if they fall under, if the same guy can do all of them, great. Sorry, that's a universal term. If the same person can do all 3 of those items, then I don't think it matters. We just want these items peer reviewed.
I would like to, if we can get one, but that's the cost to the applicant.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
It's all.
So I just, to be clear, we were gonna ask for a legal review of
The wetlands delineation.
a legal review. You said something about having our attorney review.
No, we were talking about, the owner responsibilities being tied, to the land and the property. I think in that was what you were mentioning, that.
A park owner responsible.
Right, yeah. But what I think, I'm just flagging that for discussion for next time.
Okay.
Um, and so the question about the shoreland zone is we want to know where the boundary of the shoreland is exactly. So I move that the planning board require an independent peer review of the applicant's shoreland zone boundary determination. Period. All in favor? And then, lastly, because I think we all agree that this is fairly important, is the stormwater. Bear with me for 1 sec. Okay. I move that the planning board require an independent peer review of the applicant's stormwater plan and narrative.
That was in here somewhere. It's a description, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Say that stormwater, I am,
And associated applications of yours.
yep, thanks. I move that the planning board require an independent peer review of the applicant's stormwater management plan and associated calculations. All in favor? Okay.
Sorry about this, but back to the wetlands, there was mention of Chandler Brook and what do you have on there, Bob?
That was, let's see, that was the, state's 303D list of prepared waters, which identifies water bodies that do not meet water quality standards. Chandler Brook may require additional consideration and protection.
So would that fall under wetlands?
Don't know, it's all tied into this, you know, stormwater, shoreline, everything.
Yeah.
Can I opine?
Yeah, for sure.
If Chandler Brook is falling on, is it the impaired stream list? So the reason we've entered into stormwater is that the town requires a stormwater management plan that can handle a 10-year storm event. This project doesn't trigger a state level stormwater permit by rule stormwater management license. And those calculations, these pieces start to come in, lakes most at risk for phosphorus calculations, urban impaired streams. And so I would just offer up, my belief that is where this is coming from. I just offered to the planning board before asking the applicant to spend some money to look at that, unless it's in that bulk one, which I love the idea. Just to confirm that that's the genesis of it on the tie out.
So maybe we'll put a pin in that one and look into whether we need more detail on that.
Yeah, I certainly don't know. That
Yeah.
Gentleman that was here, probably.
Okay.
Whoever's gonna be doing all this other
Right.
water related.
That's a good question for Ben as well.
Yep. Okay. I think that's enough of this. Brady, do you have any comments you want to make at this point? I'll just give you a chance.
Basically just the gentleman that came in and mentioned about the wetlands. My assumption is I was done before DOT they put a curbing in and then they put riprap to, if you look at the picture and where it is, it's the runoff from running down the hill.
Okay.
But now that they put the curbing in, it moves it further down past the property.
Okay.
And they put the riprap in, so it filters into that instead of just into the field.
Okay. Other than that, I guess we'll see you in a month and
They'll have
everything staked out. Perfect.
Just
Appreciate
want
that.
the test pit holes filled back in. Those are they?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll get those filled back in and
When we advertise for the sidewalk, is parking an issue or should we park on the field?
That's a good question.
so it depends on what they have. There's a parking spot down by the bridge that everybody uses to go fishing.
But there might be, I mean, there's 8 of us here
Yeah, so
and
you
we're
got
all,
8 cars plus. The biggest, easiest thing I think would be if Tim wants to check with Russell, see if people could use their driveway. Cause he's got plenty of parking and area and you know that he's gonna be there for the site walk. If he was still here, I would ask him, but I don't wanna.
Can you drive on it? Can you? Like,
In the bottom, can you drive off?
yeah, can you just drive?
I've been driving in there, but I wouldn't do it with a car.
People want a carpool here.
Could we rent a bus and
Would actually be an issue.
yeah,
Parking.
right. Especially on that road.
yeah, and then there's,
And just walk down the hill, but where you gonna park on Allen Road?
there's a half entrance over there, but then it's still a half a mile walk to the field.
Yeah.
Is there any, can you just drive in where the driveway's gonna be, or is
There's
that?
the trees, the whole length of it.
Okay.
I
Oh,
could
okay.
cut a couple trees and then let you guys drive into there, but.
I'd say we should plan to meet here and probably. Because we're gonna be coming here afterwards.
But we also have to consider the public. And so us, we're easy,
Right.
but there may be a lot of public interest. So I think we're,
On the road at the top of the hill, or, because the bridge is too small, like, bridge is like 5 feet narrower than the rest of the road. So even if you parked along both sides of the bridge, then it's gonna be.
Where the transmission line is there.
There actually is a little road that goes up to the gas.
Yeah, but that's.
Shut the hell.
Yeah, you're on the top side of the hill there, coming on the line. I don't think the gas company would allow.
A bunch of people have been there.
When I was wrong, and I would allow those people in there.
Yeah.
well, this is, that's not really our problem, is what I would say.
Okay.
And I think you're gonna have to figure out a way to accommodate for 15+ cars if we wanna do this site walk. However you manage it, whether you call the sheriff's department or,
I'll probably,
don't care.
okay,
Just, I think you need to figure it out
okay,
and that we can do this safely. It's not our job to figure out how we're gonna manage this, so I need you to do that for us.
okay,
And however it's done, it needs to be done safely. And if I feel that the situation isn't safe, we're gonna cancel it
okay,
because it is a dangerous road and we can't have people parking everywhere.
right,
So we need to be really careful about that,
okay,
okay?
yep. You like it, I think probably the easiest thing is right where the driveway's going, take out the 3 or 4 small trees, and then people can drive right into the field there.
However you wanna do it is fine. And, we'll need to, as people are arriving, somebody should be around directing traffic, let them know where they need to park.
Okay,
So,
is there like a window that they can show up in, or is it kind of just, because if I,
people are gonna show up when they show up, but they're gonna know that it's 6 o'clock.
okay,
Or sorry, 5 o'clock. And so that's what I would plan on.
is it that, when's the
And we gotta get back here by
That's the
6, so we're
thing
gonna
is,
run.
when does daylight savings start? Because if it's 5 o'clock and it's, I'll get till November. Yeah, so it's still should be daylight at 5, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. So we'll see you there.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good, Shane. And if there's any issues, if you feel or anticipate there's any issues with the site walk, you can reach out to Tim or Marcia and let us know as soon as possible. Okay?
And is there anything else you guys would like to see on the site plan, or you want to wait and that could be like a checklist thing? As like a conditions of approval, or do you?
Yeah, I think we'll wait and see how things go. So we've already talked about a couple of things, so we'll wait and
Okay.
see how that goes
Okay,
next time. Okay, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
thank you.
I'll just, I'm gonna not do the other items right now. I don't think, it's almost 9 o'clock. But I would like an update from the CEO. Is everybody cool if we just skip the lot densities? And is there anything, I should say, is there something on this list that is very pressing that we need to get to right now?
No, but. You don't have a lot density square. It's truly just discussion.
Right.
I don't like the overlap.
And that's why I'm not, to be honest, I'm not in a hurry to discuss the Stetson project. He's had a lot of time to review and his timing right now is just poor. And that's nobody's fault, but we can't keep pushing ourselves. So, if I do think we need to get the lot density item done, Right, I agree. We could do, I mean, the other proposal is to have a quick workshop and discuss the lot density. So it's standalone. We could set aside an hour or so where we're not attaching it on the end of another meeting that we schedule independently, and we just pick a Wednesday and just come here and spend an hour and hash it out. I would not be opposed to that. Everything has to be public. Yeah,
I would not be opposed to that, can be very just focused on that for now.
yeah,
Make sure we're on the same page and our doc.
right, right. Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah.
Well, I would say, yeah, I would just try and do it a Wednesday, if that works, just to keep things consistent.
Time frame of it.
I would say, Brian, if there's some time that I think you need to be there. And so I'm looking at either the first, maybe the first, October 1st. No good?
You could do it without.
We don't want to do it without you, right?
It's all blood then.
Does October 1st work for everybody else? Yeah, okay. So that would be, what's that?
At 6.
Yeah, let's do it at 6 again. Does that work for you?
That's gonna be tricky, but,
You want
I
to
have
do it
another thing on Wednesday nights that I miss, but it's, yeah, I can do it. And shift that.
Okay. And that'll give us a break. One, it'll give us more than 2 weeks. We get a break so that we're not meeting 2 weeks in a row. Do I have to make a motion to do this? I will make a motion. Yeah. I move that we have a workshop meeting to discuss lot density, the lot density checklist on October 1st at 6 PM. All in favor? Good. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Do you guys have anything?
To report.
Yeah.
We've been working a lot on this stuff. Working a lot with the gentleman that was here today, the Woodland, or Woodman, was it, subdivision? And there hasn't been a lot of permits taken out. Permits have kind of slowed down quite a bit, including this for solar. During the summertime, we're really getting 3 solar permits a week, and I don't think I've had one in 2 weeks. So things have kind of slowed down on that end. I do have some more ordinance review stuff, but we don't have to do that tonight. We can do that at a later date.
If you want, that would be a perfect time if you had time on that October 1st
Mhm.
and you wanted to come in and discuss maybe ordinance review for a few minutes.
Okay.
Right at 6. And then, and if you guys, obviously you guys are welcome to come, we'd love to have you at that meeting.
Yep.
If you can make it, just so you can be part of that process. But if, yeah, and, no, we don't. And, right, so we could discuss that as well.
Speaking of, should we take down that? Seems like the people are still kind of up there. It's just wrong. Never really should have done in front of us and it's still up there. Maybe it has to be, but.
Yeah, right, yeah. It's still on the website, so we should probably take that down as a, right, because it's, right. Maybe we could,
Still current.
but it's not, this plan is not, this is not an accurate plan. So,
The record. That this was the previous plan, but as we get different information.
and we move it so that, because it's not currently active, he would have to resubmit another application. So it's not really a current project. Yeah,
Mobile home park, like, some of the versions have gone up, and down, up, and down, up, and down.
right.
They really, should be like an archive location.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Here.
I would agree. Yep.
I'll see what they'll-
And I guess another question is we've moved on from that project. So technically it's not an act, like if he comes back before us, it's a completely new project. So I would propose that we just, it should definitely not be under current.
Back, new project is a new.
Yeah, I think so, right?
I'd have to look through the ordinance to see what the timeline is on that. I'm not sure.
Because his previous application was, or submission was more than 6 months ago. Is that correct? Was it April? So he was after Shane? Okay. Okay. Okay, so. All right, fair. So we'll leave it there as active.
We'll read through the ordinance and see if we can, we need to get the timelines kind of nailed down. And the ordinance is also not really good about spelling out when fees are supposed to be paid. So those are the things that
Right.
also need to be reviewed.
Okay.
The submission that they could have got, or last presentation, that they could have got clearer direction before they came.
Yeah, I agree.
Shane's letters.
Yes. And Woodman's, as soon as they get envelopes to us. I believe there was another letter that came in. Does somebody have that handy, who that came from?
Yeah, that just came in from Garcia.
Yeah, I've got it.
Got it.
So we did receive a communication from Michael Baumser. I'm just making a note that it was read and received and read by the planning board regarding the Stetson project. Is there anything else that you guys want to add, comments, suggestions? Nope. You've been here all this time, just hanging out. You're good. Yeah, I hear you. All right. Next month agenda. So, under old business, obviously we'll have the mobile home park. And Stetson under old business.
So next meeting, you don't want to do that.
I don't really want to,
This is where we give them the option.
but we could give him the option
Okay.
and understanding that we may not get to it.
Okay.
But if he wants some significant time, we can definitely put him on the November meeting.
Yeah, maybe convey that, like, we'll do a 9 o'clock cutoff, and we want to spend minimally an hour, so if we don't get to him by 8 o'clock, we're just gonna
Right.
punt. And it's
Right.
up to him if he wants to sit through that or not, and,
Right, and there would be no guarantees
yeah.
that we would get to him.
There may be some more guidance that Bill and I would give Stetson on lot density after our workshop.
Yeah, for sure, yep. And Woodman, so we'll do the same, we'll do Woodman first. Shane. Stetson. And then, is there any new business that? Is, is there anything else? Yeah, okay, great. We don't have time for it anyway. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for staying so late. Appreciate the time. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Yep. Good job.